Welcome to Cooking with Randoms. Today we're making porcupine meatballs. You'll need 500 grams of minced beef, 500 grams of sausage mince, 1 large onion, 1 cup of rice, flour, milk, 800 ml can of tomato soup, oil to fry with, a large pot, frying pan, large mixing bowl, rice cooker if you want to use one, and approximately an hour. First off, I start by pouring out the rice. I did 1 cup and put it in my rice cooker. You can cook it whichever way you would like to do it. Make sure you wash your rice because that's important. Once I had the rice in the rice cooker, I then proceeded to cut my onion. Again, you can cut your onion however you would like to, but I decided that I was going to dice it. And look at my fancy way of how I dice onions. I'm very proud of the way that I dice onions, so you could learn something here. Once I have finished dicing the onion and I am satisfied with the shape of the cubes, I then turn the frying pan on, put some oil in the frying pan, fry the onion until it's nice and caramelized, but not too caramelized. And then I put that aside. All the while this is happening, I forgot to mention, if you're going to be cooking vegetables, it's a good idea to do that now. Put a pot of water on and boil some potatoes so that you can make some mash. That would be lovely. That's what I did on the side. So while the potatoes were cooking, while the rice was cooking and the onion was now cooked, the meat that we're using, like you can see, is minced beef and some sausage mince. Favorite thing to put in a bowl. Not really, it's disgusting, but it tastes good. So pop that in a separate bowl together and then chop your veggies. It actually shows me chopping up the potatoes, but they were already cooking, so I guess, I thought you'd like to know how to chop some potatoes. Once all of your veggies are chopped, you can then proceed to add in the onion to your bowl of meat and then add in a couple of spoonfuls of rice. I don't usually use the entire cup of rice. It's kind of like use your better judgment as to how much you're going to put in, but you kind of want it to be a gooey, fluffy consistency, as gooey and as fluffy as it possibly can be for a bowl of meat. And then once you've done that, pop that aside for a minute and we're going to get the soup ready. So you want a really, really big pot that you're going to put the soup contents into. Once you have put the soup in, the soup, depending on what soup you're using, but this particular soup says to put half a can of milk, half a can of water. Depending on my mood, depending on whether I want it creamier, I will tend to just do an entire can of milk. I think that tastes better. If you're wanting to do a dairy-free alternative or lactose-free alternative, that's what I do. I use lactose-free milk or oat milk. I then use some, it says self-raising flour. It doesn't matter if it's self-raising or plain. You do you, boo. I put some on a plate and then I proceed to roll the meat into some balls and then roll them in the flour. It doesn't really matter what size you do these. It just, depending on the size, will depend on how long they cook for. I find that they're not as dry. They're a little bit more moist if you make bigger balls. Tip of the day, because they take a little bit longer to cook. They cook through better. Anyway, so yeah, whatever size balls you want to make, you make those balls. And then once you have made them to the size of your choosing, you pop them into the soup. You just plop them all in there. At first you think it's not going to cover them, but it does cover them. Covers them very nicely because you're putting the balls in the soup and it's rising because of I'm sure you figured out how it works. Anyway, they all fit in there really, really nicely. And then you want to cook your vegetables. So I'm using a microwave steamer. You can cook them however you want to. Now the potatoes cooked, so we're going to make mash. So I put all of the potatoes into a big bowl, use some Nuttelex, which is dairy-free butter, and some lactose-free milk, salt and pepper for taste. Stick all of that into the bowl and use a potato mashing, just a masher thing. I don't know what they're called. mashing device to mash the potato until it's nice and creamy. I didn't peel my potatoes. Again, that's just personal preference. I don't care. This is just my lazy mash. So, you know, it's yummy still. If you haven't done it, it's good. Try it. And then once all of that is done, I make sure that the meatballs are cooked. So I just grab one meatball out. I just chop it in half just to see that like the meat looks cooked. There you go. Looks cooked. So now I can plate it all up. Put the veggies on the plate, put the mashed potato on the plate, put the meatballs on, and ta-da! It's really, really good. I like to add a heap of soup at the end onto top so you can like put it in your mash. It's amazing. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this recipe. This is a recipe passed down from my nan, so I hope that you can get some enjoyment out of it. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one. Thanks, guys. Bye.